Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session on the human eye and the colorful world. Okay, so in the human eye, so let's see like how the human eye functions, right? And what are the vision defects? First thing is how the human eye functions, and what are the vision defects, and how we can correct those vision defects, right? So let's look at the human eye. So here I just took the picture from your textbook, right? So this is exactly uh, the diagram of an eye, right? So if you look at this, it looks like a spherical ball, right? So basically, human eye is like a spherical ball of 2.3 centimeters in diameter. This is approximately. Okay. So human eye is like a spherical ball and the diameter is 2.3 centimeters. So if you look at the various spots in the eye here, right? So if you look at this, the topmost part is called cornea. Okay, so that's the front of our eye, right? That a bulged you see here, right? So this is like a bulged curve, right? So this is the cornea. So inside the cornea, you have some liquid called aqueous humor behind the cornea. And behind the cornea and in front of the iris. Okay? Behind the cornea and in front of the iris. So this that black membrane, right? If we see into our eye, there is a circular black region, right? So that region is called iris. Okay, and then we will also see within that black region, black membrane in our eye, we see a dot kind of thing that is called pupil. Okay, that small dot that we will see, that's a pupil. So behind the pupil, there will be a lens that is called crystalline lens. Okay, so the eye structure, uh, if we look at it, it can be like a simple thing, but if we study the structure of it, it's very complex, right? So first we have the cornea, that's the bulged area here, that basically controls, that basically sends the light into the eye. So cornea is the region from where the light enters into the eye. And then behind that, we have iris. So iris is that black membrane, right? And at the center of the black membrane, we see a dot. That dot is nothing but pupil. And behind the pupil, that behind the iris and the pupil, there is a lens. Okay. And then you have this, the spherical portion is filled with a gel kind of liquid that is vitreous humor. Vitreous humor. And then if you see these two muscles here, right? This is ciliary muscles. Okay. So above this iris, right? Above this iris, around the iris, at the bottom and the top, you see a kind of muscles that is ciliary muscles. And then at the back side of the eye, right? The inner side of the other end of the eye, we see retina. So I will tell you what retina is useful for. And then there are optical optic nerves. Okay, so that sends the signals to the brain. Understood? So this is the basic structure of eye. So we will see what is the use of each part, right? So cornea. So cornea is the frontmost part of the eye, which is like a bulged region, and through which light enters into the eye. You following, right? Through which light enters enters the eye. Okay, so cornea is the region which allows the light to enter into the eye. And then what we have iris. So iris is basically a black membrane, membrane which controls the size of pupil, which controls the size of pupil. So pupil is the black dot. So we may not have observed, but if we observe very closely into someone's eye, what will happen is this pupil size decreases or increases. The size changes based on where you are focusing your vision, right? So the iris, that black membrane, either contracts or elongates or relaxes to adjust the size of the pupil. Okay, so what is pupil's function? So the pupil, what it does is it controls the light that enters into the eye. So it controls the light enters onto the lens basically, right? Behind the people there are the lens will be there, right? So it controls the light that enters onto the lens, eye lens. Okay, so that's the crystalline lens. So, and then what is this ciliary muscles, right? Ciliary muscles. So what's the function of this? So basically, these muscles, hold on, these muscles helps the lens to either relax or contract. So it basically controls the size of the eye. Okay, it controls. I mean, it either contracts or relaxes so that the lens changes its focal length. Okay, controls controls the focal length of the lens of the eye lens. So it's basically the human eye is like a camera. Okay, in camera, what we will do if we need to take a longer object, we will zoom, right? We will zoom the lens. When we zoom the lens, we can see the object that is very far. And if we want to see the object to a distance, what we'll do? We will zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. The same thing, the function of zooming in and zooming out is done by these ciliary muscles. Understood? So basically, human eye is a camera-like structure. Okay, so it can focus at infinity. So we can see the objects at infinity, right? If we just go onto our terrace and see, we can see object I mean, as far as we can see, like, so that's infinity. So we can see the objects from the infinity, and we can see the objects very close as well, right? So we will see in the next slides. So basically, human eye is a camera, and it is like a spherical ball, which is like 2.3 centimeters in diameter approximately. And then it has various spots, right? So cornea, and then iris, and then pupil, ciliary muscles, retina, and that uh, behind the lens and in front of retina, the eyeball is filled with vitreous humor. That's a kind of gel. Okay, it's a liquid gel that controls the size of the eye. And then optic nerve. So what's the function of optic nerve? So whatever the image that this lens forms, right? So optic nerve sends the signals, right? So optic nerve carries the signals to the carries signals to the brain. Now we have lens. The light is entering the lens and a image is formed. Where that image form? That forms on the retina. So retina is very important part. That is like a very sensitive area, right? Retina is where the eye lens forms the image, forms the image. And from the retina, these optic nerves are there. They catch the signals and sends those signals to the brain. Then brain visualizes what that object is, how it looks like, what is its appearance, right? So it is it is very complex way that eye is designed, right? So let's look into the details, like how the image is formed, right? So here, for example, in this diagram, if you see, this is the exact shape of the eye, right? So it's a spherical ball. And for example, I have an object here, right? So basically it's a lens, right? It's a lens. We already studied in our previous sessions, right? What is a lens? Let's say this is a lens. So basically it is a convex lens. So our human eye is a convex lens. Now this is the leaf here, right? So let's say I have an object here. Okay. So this is my object, which is a leaf. Now, what is happening here? So this light, this light is is entering onto the lens, right? And then it's converging like this, right? And then, so yesterday we learned this, right? So this goes undeviated and joins somewhere. So here it's forming the image. So what type of image we will get in convex lens? It's an inverted image. It's an inverted image. So the size of the image depends on from where we are seeing, right? So if we are seeing at the 2f1, right? If the object is at, hold on guys, 2f1. So on the lens we already learned, right? So the focus is at f1 and 2f1 is the curvature of the lens. And similarly, on this side, we have 2f2, right? This is, sorry, this is f2 and this is, let's say, 2f2. So the same size image we will get when the object is at the distance of a diameter of the focal length. Okay, so the focal length, so diameter equal to 2 times of the focal length, right? So our eye adjusts the focal length of the lens with the muscles to move the eye. So there are two types of muscles. One is here, the upper muscle on the eye, which moves the eye, right? And inside we have ciliary muscles that controls the size of the lens, either to contract or to relax. So basically what is happening here is the leaf, and that leaf with the exact size or the smaller size based on where the leaf is, right? So smaller or bigger, that we can see. So this leaf is forming an image through this convex lens, which is our eye lens, right? Eye lens, and that's forming an inverted image. Okay, so the inverted image, then that's where it is forming. It is forming on the retina, right? It is forming on the retina. The image is forming on the retina. On the retina, all these optic nerves are there, right? So these optic nerves catches those signals and send those as the electric signals to the brain. So the optic nerve to the brain. So this nerve is very critical to send the instructions or the whereabouts, like how the image is, all that information it shares with the brain. So brain then, based on the signals, it visualizes and maps that inverted image into a erect image, and then that's what we will feel. So in this case, the leaf is there, the leaf is in green color, right? So basically our eye lens forms the inverted leaf, but this optic nerve, when it sends the signal to the brain visualizes these signals, and that's what we feel. Okay, so this is, as I said, this is a complex mechanism, like how the human eye works, right? So human eye Basically, it works as a camera. It has a lens, and that can be zoom in or zoom out, or we can focus. So if we focus to infinity, we can see lot objects from distance. And if we can focus close, we can see object from nearby, right? So it basically it has the eye has that zoom in zoom out functionality, and that is controlled by the ciliary muscles that we just saw in previous slide, right? And the movement of the eye is controlled by the muscles just above the eye and below the eyelids. Okay, right. So hope you guys now understand how uh, eye forms an image, right? How eye forms an image. So whatever the object or the area we see, that area is exactly formed onto the retina as an inverted image, and that inverted image whereabouts the optic nerve catches and sends the signals in the form of electric signals to the brain, and brain decodes or understands that signals and visualize, like, okay, this is visualize and put it into the erect form of the image. That's what we feel. You understood? So yeah, it is very complex, but yes, so that's how we can see the images, what we see, the image or the object or the group of objects or an area, right? So it is all the image, and the brain processes those signals, and we visualize that what it is. Okay, so eye is a very important organ. That's where we feel the beauty of our world. All right, so now we looked at the human eye. So let's see what is the power of accommodation, right? So as I said, the ciliary muscles are very key in either contracting or relaxing the eye eye muscle, right? So the contracting or relaxing, that way what happens is the lens adjusts, either contracts or relaxes, so that, see, what happens is, let's say eye is a convex lens, right? So let's say it is like this, for example, it is like this. Now this is, let's say this is a relaxed eye. Let's say this is a relaxed eye. Let's say this is the lens. This is the relaxed eye. Then contracted eye. So what contracted eye does is, this curvature comes like this. So if you see the thickness here, the thickness, the lens thickness is less here, right, guys? The lens thickness is decreased. Okay, these are thinner, right? Lens thickness is decreased. That means the focal length is increases. So when we have a relaxed eye, that means we can focus at long distances. So when we focus at long distances, what happens is the eye muscles relaxes, the ciliary muscles relaxes. When the muscles are relaxed, what happens is the thickness of the lens decreases. When the thickness of the lens decreases, that means the curvature increases. So the focal length increases. Understood? And what happens if we focus a nearby object? So when we focus a nearby object, the ciliary muscles contracts the lens. That means here the thickness, the lens thickness increases. The lens thickness increases. So when we have increased the thickness of the lens, so the radius of curvature, what happens? The curvature of the lens is decreased. That means the focal length of the eye lens gets decreased. You following, guys? So basically, why we are studying human eye in the light chapter is this the reason, because it exactly works on the principles of the convex lens. eye works on the principle of convex lens. So that's why first we learned about light, how it behaves on convex concave lens, and now we are talking about how eye works, right? So, so what is happening here? So based on the distance of the object that we need to see, the eye has a mechanism to adjust, to relax or contract the eye and change its focal length, right? So this process of adjusting the focal length to see the objects from far distance or near, this phenomenon, this process of adjusting the focal length by the eye is called the power of accommodation of the eye, right? So this is exactly works like a uh, what we call like an automated system like a camera, right? So we will have something called in our mobile phones autofocus, right? So based they find the object and they focus and they highlight the object and take the picture, right? So see how the eye is formed like it has all those features right, so it can autofocus, it can zoom in, it can zoom out, right, all that stuff is available for it's already built into human eye. So so basically human eye is a convex lens, right, and it adjusts its focal length based on from where we need to see the object. If it is a far object, the eye is relaxed, so we can focus at long distance, and the focal length increases because the thickness of the lens decreases. Right. So if you want to see the close by object, so automatically the ciliary muscles contract and make the thickness increase, the lens thickness to increase and the focal length decrease. Okay, so basically what is the power of accommodation? The ability of the eye lens, the ability of the eye lens to adjust the focal length to see distant and close by or nearby. Close by objects is called the power of accommodation. You're following, guys? So this is called the power of accommodation. See how beautiful this is built, right? So eye has all the mechanism of a camera, okay, which we are experiencing now with human technology, right? So now, by now, I think you understand how how we see the objects and how brain reads those signals and visualize the colors and the size and of the objects, right? So it's exactly works as the convex lens. So if we have seen the ray diagrams of the convex lens, we can understand when we can see a smaller object. See, let's say I have uh, I'm looking at an object from the flight. So we will see very minute objects. So we are seeing from far, and the image is that area is formed as an image, and that is smaller in size. It's a diminished image we can see. So it's exactly the convex lens, right? So if we are seeing an object at infinity, so we'll just see like a point image. So that's one of the scenarios in our convex lens. So as the object moves closer to the lens, we'll see it as an magnified image. So exactly that's what we see. That's all for today's session, guys. I hope you all understood the topic. And even in case you have any questions, you can reach me on my Urban Pro profile. Thank you, guys.